We're interrupting our scheduled program to take you live to the campaign trail of election 2016.
Proposed in relation to negative gearing would drive down the value of existing properties. It would push up the cost of rental accommodation and would distort investment in the economy, and as such it would be bad for jobs and growth. The other important point to make today again is that we need to remain vigilant when it comes to the protection of our borders. People smugglers continue to be active. People smugglers continue to present a risk to our border security, to the integrity of our borders, and of course the last thing Australia should be doing is to give people smugglers back a product to sell, and that is precisely what Bill Shorten is doing when he proposes to abolish temporary protection visas, when he proposes to resettle about 30,000 people who arrived here illegally under Labor's last watch permanently here in Australia. The coalition is totally committed to the strong border protection policies that we have put in place during these past 3 years in government. The coalition has a strong track record, and the coalition has a clear and unequivocal commitment into the future, whereas Bill Shorten, of course, facing the open defiance of more than 50 of his Labor members and candidates, is already crab walking away from our strong border protection policies. Happy to take questions. That candidate has unreservedly apologised for the comments that he's made, and let's move on.
But do you think, of his view, that people who describe Australia Day as Invasion Day need a high five on the face as with the chair?
Well, these are completely unacceptable comments. He accepts that they are unacceptable comments, and he has unreservedly apologised.
Penny Wong said that heterosexual politicians can't understand the fear of LGBTI Australians who are very concerned about a plebiscite on same-sex marriage. Do you understand that fear, and how can you do that?
Our policy is very clear. Should we be successful on the 2nd of July, there will be a plebiscite in relation to the issue of same-sex marriage. We will be putting this issue for a vote to the Australian people. We have a significant level of confidence in the Australian people. Clearly, Labor does not appear to have a lot of confidence in the Australian people. We do have confidence that the Australian people will conduct that debate respectfully and appropriately. This is an issue that has come before the Parliament on several occasions. The Parliament on every occasion has confirmed the current definition of marriage. The decision that the coalition has made is that in order to facilitate a more permanent resolution of this issue, that the best way forward is to put this question to the Australian people at a plebiscite. That is what we will do, and we are very confident that the Australian people will conduct that debate appropriately and respectfully.
How can you have that confidence, though, because the debate has already seen that proponents of same-sex marriage have been accused of PC bullying. Gay parents have had their parenting questioned and even had it analogised to neglect of their children. How can you have confidence in the tone of this debate, given those examples we've already seen?
Well, I do have confidence in the Australian people, and anyone who makes inappropriate comments, or that what would be described as inappropriate comments in relation to this, will attract the appropriate response. And I mean, we live in a democracy. This is an issue that obviously needs to be resolved. It has been considered by the Parliament on several occasions. Every time the Parliament has considered this issue in recent times, the Parliament has reconfirmed the current definition as enshrined in the Marriage Act. The coalition has decided, in order to facilitate a more permanent resolution to this issue, that the best way forward is to put it to the Australian people, and that is the policy that we openly and transparently put before people as we approach this election.
What is the appropriate response, though, for a gay parent who has their parenting analogised to neglect by a religious organisation? Is it simply to shout back?
Look, we in Australia, we are a democracy. In Australia, people are free to express their opinions, and a plebiscite. There is no more democratic way to resolve an issue that needs resolving than by giving people across Australia the opportunity to vote on it.
Well, you can guarantee people will have a vote, but you've done more than that. You've warranted that the tone of the debate will not be such that it harms LGBTI Australians.
Well,
How can you do that?
Well, I can see that you clearly have a very firm view in relation to this, but we are putting our position to the Australian people at this election. And at this election, it is entirely up to the Australian people whether they support our proposal to have a plebiscite in relation to this issue on the other side of the election, should we be elected, or to pursue another option being put forward by alternative parties or candidates. But our position is very clear. It is being put openly and transparently in the context of our platform that we're taking to this election. And obviously we believe that our proposed way forward is the best way forward. Look, I think that in a democracy it's important that we engage in the battle of ideas and in debate about issues robustly, but ultimately settle these matters democratically and peacefully at the ballot box. And that is the opportunity that we are offering in relation to this issue by promising to conduct a plebiscite, should we be successful on the 2nd of July. Ultimately, of course, it's all of us should, as we engage in the battle of ideas, always conduct ourselves appropriately and put our views forward in an appropriate way. There's a very clear choice at this election. It's a choice between the Liberal National Party coalition, which has a plan for the economy, which has a plan for jobs and growth, which has a plan to successfully transition our economy from record resource investment driven growth to broader drivers of growth and a strong and diversified economy. And on the other hand, the Labor Party and the Greens, who don't have a plan for the economy, they just have a plan for higher taxes and bigger deficits. Higher taxes and bigger deficits which would hurt the economy, which would cost jobs. There is no proposal for a higher tax that the Labor Party or the Greens don't like. Every single day they seem to be coming up with another idea for another tax increase. The coalition's position is very clear. We've put forward our plan for the economy, our plan for jobs, our plan to put the budget on a sustainable foundation for the future into the budget that we released a few weeks ago. The Labor Party and the Greens are both pushing for higher taxes. Labor in particular has already admitted that taxes would be more than $100 billion higher under the Labor Party over the next decade if they were elected on the 2nd of July. That would hurt the economy, it would hurt investment, it would cost jobs, and it is not the right way forward for Australia at this point in time.
But we have taxes on things that are obviously going to people's health. Surely that there is some merit in stopping kids from getting fat so they're not a burden on the health system later on.
I don't agree that there is merit in the Labor Green push for ever higher taxes. The Labor Green push for ever higher taxes would be bad for our economy, it would hurt investment, it would cost jobs. Higher taxes lead to less investment and fewer jobs. We know that Labor and the Greens are always on a joint ticket when it comes to looking for ever new opportunities to increase the tax burden on the Australian economy. Look, there are actually some things that are the responsibility of individual Australians, of parents and obviously of families. The government, if your proposition is that every single challenge and every single problem out in the community can be fixed with another tax, then I fundamentally disagree with that. That is certainly the Labor Green view of the world. When Labor and the Greens last were in government, they thought that you know, every single issue could be addressed with another tax. That's when they gave us the carbon tax, which made Australia less competitive internationally, which lowered the level of international competitiveness for our economy, which cost jobs and which just shifted jobs and emissions overseas. It didn't lead to reduced global emissions, it just shifted jobs and emissions overseas. This is just another example of the Labor Green view that every single issue can be solved with another tax impost. Thank you.